Hello and welcome to this new episode of the Print Dashboard. We are back at debating a topic that we have discussed at length over the past 1 year: car safety and ratings. What prompts this is a statement by Maruti Suzuki Chairman R.C. Bhargava about the Global NCAP and its standards. Our auto expert Kushan Mitra was there at that press conference. So we'll go straight to Kushan and know what prompted it. Welcome, Kushan. Welcome to the print.
Thank you, Anurag. Good to be back. And yes, Mr. Bhargav is making the news again. I believe there's an episode of Off the Cuff with him with Shekhar, where Shekhar talks a lot about 40 years of Maruti. Mr. Bhargav, for those of you who don't know, has been associated with Maruti from its very first days. And he is the grand old man of the Indian automotive sector right now. And he was angry at this conference because he considers Global NCAP, NCAP stands for New Car Assessment Program, where cars are crash tested against a still target. And also the new part of the Global NCAP test also includes the side impact test. And while the new Mahindra Scorpio N scored a 5-star for adult safety protection, the Swift, the Ignis and the S-Presso all scored very badly. The highest rating of any of these three cars was just a 1-star rating. So Mr. Bhargav was very angry. He obviously said a lot of things about where the Global NCAP organization, which is a UN supported organization, gets its funding from. He also argued a lot that, we cannot look at safety in isolation. Right. You have to look at, driver education, vehicle fitness and the roads we drive on. But I don't think that's an excuse. While those are valid points, we all drive on Indian roads and we all know how much chaos there is on Indian roads, not just among, I know some people say it's very elitist to say that, it's the illiterate guys who do it, but, you see guys in BMWs, Audis and Mercedes cars also driving down the wrong side, breaking rules willy-nilly. And you have various speeds of transport. So when you go to small town India, these three-wheel electric rickshaws are even on highways. So a lot of that is there.
Kushan, can we say that this has come now, but can we say that it was a long time coming? Because this is not the first of such statements that Mr. Bhargava has made. He has been talking about it for some time. It's just that for this time, it was on a big scale, on a much lengthier at length explanation of why he holds reservation against the Global NCAP?
Yes, it was a very large stage. It was in fact Maruti Suzuki's annual press conference. There were over 75 journalists over there. All of us listened with rapt attention and we all respectfully disagreed with him. He has his points. As I said, driver education, vehicle fitness, road conditions are all major aspects, but that does not make excuses for car companies to produce cars that are inherently unsafe.
So where is it coming from? Because is it because of the fact that nowadays, especially in last couple of years, there is huge stress on driver safety, on passenger safety, on car safety. Yeah. So do you think a narrative has come out in last couple of years which has sort of not talked about other factors that Mr. Bhargava mentions?
No, the other factors are being mentioned. Okay, now when unfortunately the death of Cyrus Mistry took place, he was in a Mercedes-Benz. And of course, first people blamed the car. Then it emerged that it was road design. Very poor road design with the central verge where the verge was, and the cars, yes, maybe the car was speeding, maybe, Mr. Mistry was not belted in, all of that might have happened, but it's poor road design, which was the overwhelming factor. Now, as you know, if you watch the show, I'm a big fan of, called Air Crash Investigation. An accident is a sequence of events. If you break the chain at one event, it may not happen. So that might have happened with Mr. Mistry's incident. But A high profile death in a car crash obviously brings the topic up to the fore. The other major problem that I personally have, and what we have also written about after these tests in my column when I spoke to my friend Siddharth Patankar, was that it's not the fact that the Swift is a one-star car or the Ignis is a one-star car. It's the fact that the Swift and Ignis are three-star cars in Europe. And the same car is a one-star car in India. It's using the same platform, but it's a one-star car.
How is that possible? Why is it happening? Can we go into the whys?
Well, the very simple why is different materials. The use of what is known as high-strength steel and ultra-high-strength steel in the vehicle that we see in Europe is much higher. But these grades of steel are far more expensive. The Swift, for example, while it is available as a mild hybrid in Europe and not that in India, costs 15,500 pounds for its base model in the UK. That's 16 lakh rupees. The top model of the Swift in India costs 9 lakh rupees. The top, the fully loaded car. So the question obviously emerges, are Indian buyers willing to pay European prices for safety for their cars?
And that in fact also brings in question government norms and regulations, because a testing agency is one thing, but before any testing agency, there are basic rules that are set out by the government of the day. So for sure, Maruti and likes of Maruti, they are following the government norms when it comes to the components involved, the quality of steel being used. So how do we see it? Because it's not that they are flouting any of the norms.
No, they're not. And Mr. Bhargav raised that point as well. He said, we are not idiots. We export cars to 100 plus countries. We follow all the norms. Are those governments idiots? No, they're not. Those governments are not idiots. Those governments know full well what they're doing. Do they meet all the norms in India? Global NCAP test results are not binding on any country. You don't have to put the global NCAP result when you're selling the car. In India, particularly Mr. Nitin Gadkari, who is the Minister of Road Transportation and Highways, has been talking of a Bharat NCAP, which will use norms specifically designed for India, which will be in line with global norms, may not be meeting the current global NCAP norms, because the current global NCAP norms that changed middle of last year also include a side impact test. Right. At the same time, it must be specified over here that a car that was a 5-star rated car in early 2021 before the side impact test may not be a 5-star rated car today. It could even be a 2 or 3-star car, because the side impact test, to do well in a side impact test like the Mahindra Scorpio N has done, you need to have reinforcement bars across the door.
And I think Mr. Bhargava also highlighted the fact that the Maruti cars that were tested by GNCAP, they were meant to meet norms for till 2019, whereas the Mahindra Scorpio N, it's a recent.
It's a brand new car. No, you design a car obviously for the norms of the day, but.
So why I ask this is because you mentioned Bharat NCAP. Do you think that will settle the debate as far as Indian market is concerned?
No, it should. It ought to settle the debate. We are the world's third largest automotive market after China and the United States. China has its own NCAP, and the United States obviously has a government agency, which is the National Highways Transportation Safety Authority, which does these tests. But in India, NCAP is technically independent. To use the NCAP term, you have to be independent, you have to be certified by the Fédération Internationale des Automobiles, FIA, which also does all the Formula One and all the motorsports. But a Bharat NCAP, which with its own norms, is needed in India. Of that, there's no doubt. We've discussed this in the past, in previous shows. And we need to have our own, because that will put to rest all these accusations as well. Um, can people pay and get a better result? Have the right versions being sent? Global NCAP buys the cars off the market. You know, where are those cars coming from? Are the results being gamed? I mean, is somebody sending a car for that test with better quality materials? God knows. That will have to be answered, and I think the best answer and the best solution for that is to have an India specific test like Bharat NCAP and make that test binding, so that just like you get to see fuel economy figures on a car in a showroom from ARAI, you will get to see how many stars, safety stars a particular car has for adult protection and for child protection. And one more point I'd like to raise is that cars get a certain number of stars also for child protection after adult protection, but those stars are only given to children who are seated in a child seat or an infant carrier. And this brings me back again to Mr. Bhargav's point that Indians still don't know how to drive necessarily. It's still far too few people in India put children in child restraint systems, whether it's an infant carrier or child seat or even a booster seat.
That's something even you have mentioned so many times in your columns, and in fact, you have also talked about the road infrastructure in our country, and you have mentioned that yes, there has been some enormous improvement over the last couple of years, last decade or so, but there's still that a lot needs to be done.
We need to control access. I mean, some of these new access controlled expressways, you still see, as I said, e-rickshaws on high-speed roads. These things can't go much faster than 20 kilometers an hour, and at the same time, some of the roads, like the Eastern Peripheral Expressway or the Western Peripheral Expressway, which is this outer ring road you have in Delhi, the speed limit is 120 kilometers per hour. And I mean, 120 kph is fast. I mean, definitely for India, legally, driving at 120 kph is fast, and many people are going much faster than that, obviously. Our road infrastructure is improved by leaps and bounds. In the next month, you'll obviously, later this month, we will have the new Zuari Bridge in Goa, a fantastic new bridge over the Zuari River. You'll have the Mumbai-Nagpur Expressway being opened. You will have the Delhi-Mumbai Expressway being opened sometime middle of next year, at least stretches of that. You'll have sections of the Bengaluru-Mysore Expressway. You'll have the new elevated roads in Kerala.
So you're looking forward to 2023, I should say.
Wow, I'm looking forward to driving on some of these roads. Honestly, at a level, some of these roads are very boring to drive on because they're straight and they're wide and it's not exciting to drive on them. But I'm really looking forward to see this infrastructure getting built out. But at the same time, I believe that right now we do need to look into aspects that Mr. Bhargav raised in his rant, so to speak, which is vehicle fitness. It's a major issue. Many vehicles are clearly unfit. I mean, when you go out in Delhi, you'll notice that most of the public transportation buses are not fit enough to be on the road. Most of the cargo, three-wheelers at least, are carrying way overloaded. And why should cars bear the brunt of safety? I mean, look at auto rickshaws. I mean, you look at an auto rickshaw, you don't think an auto rickshaw is safe by any stretch of imagination, do you?
Absolutely. So we have to look at the whole ecosystem and not just cars or roads. It's a gamut of thing that India needs to.
We need to look at it very holistically, but as I said, it does not excuse car makers from saying that a one-star car is suitable for India. We have to start with Bharat NCAP so that any doubts about the testing and the methodology are removed, because this is an in-house test, or whether it's done by the government or an independent agency. And we have to work on driver education. I think it's more vital as the economy grows, as India grows, that driver education definitely becomes part of the curriculum in schools, in urban centers. I mean, I'm assuming most children who are in class 11 or 12 will be driving a vehicle if they're not already driving illegally. That happens. But they should be taught better driving manners. I mean, the only way to change it is to teach the kids. You put them in simulators, give them driving exams. That's the case in most parts of the world, including China right now. China was as chaotic as India was a couple of decades ago, but now you have to pass a very strict test. We all know how much of a joke driving license tests are in India. Many people still think the way of getting driving license is very corrupt. Changes have been made. There is a Sarathi program that actually in India is very easy to get a driving license. I got mine renewed and literally it took me 48 hours to get renewed license. But what I found strange was I had to submit a medical certificate for my eyes. Now I wear glasses and I want to, I worry about my eye health, but what a joke it is.
No, I think that just sums up the amount of work that we as a country need to do to get to that level of road safety we have always aspired for. With that, we come to this edition of the Print Dashboard. Wishing all our viewers, listeners a very happy New Year and Merry Christmas. Thank you.
Thank you, Anurag, and a very happy New Year to you and all readers and viewers of this of the dashboard. Thank you so much for reading. There'll be a lot more things happening in 2023. Let me assure you of that.